afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, August 30th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a Time for Change call tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Everything that we've been taught, learned, has been just handed down from others on their perspective and how they were taught and how they learned. And most we develop attachments to many things. And we have expectations. You know, people will say, I never expected that to happen. I was expecting this. You know, what are you expecting out of all of this? You know, the word expectation is used in a lot of conversations. You know, some people will say, well, what do you expect to get out of this? And it really befuddles them when you say nothing. And you see, but it's not like we know it. We don't consciously. Oh, you know, I'm using attachments. And being attached is what prevents us from seeing. It is what clouds our miraculous awareness, Jeffrey Shugan-Arnold. So there you are, sitting with your legs crossed, visualizing your new dream house, soulmate, ideal career, jackpot money, whatever you want to manifest. And you want it so bad that you could, you ever done that? Have you ever wanted something so bad that you could almost taste it? Now, I know there's some people, you know, wanting the RV to go and wanting the planetary monies to free up so things can start moving. And we may sit and we may have been visualizing, feeling, and working on attracting this for quite a while. Some people, you know, they don't give up. They don't quit. They don't throw their hands up in the air and say, to heck with it. They keep going. Yet for some reason, nothing is happening. Should you just throw in the towel, give up? What is blocking us from manifesting what we so deeply desire? And a lot of people ask this question, says, you know what? This is where people in the ego mind come in and say, there's this black cloud following me. They think this cloud's following them, and that something's out to get them, and this is why nothing seems to work for them. And attachment is always the culprit that clogs up our manifesting vibration. But how do we know that? It's like you say to yourself, how do I know I'm experiencing attachment versus a really strong desire? We are definitely attached when we think and feel that we must have or experience this something in order to feel at peace with who we are in the future. A good rule of thumb is that any time you feel that you have to have this one thing to be happy, free, successful, or alive, then you're attached and might want to take a look deeper inside to see what is really going on. Whenever we're attached to something, you'll notice that your body tenses up and you might feel frustrated, uptight, or anxious thinking about what you need to do to manifest your desired outcome. The anxiousness that we feel at times is a form of fear, which always lowers our manifesting vibration and is truly what is keeping us from actually receiving what our heart deeply desires. And it's sneaky for us. The feeling of attachment is very sneaky and can creep up on you when you least expect it. In fact, you may be caught in a repetitive cycle of being attached to someone or something without even being aware of it. The easiest way to know if you're truly attached is to ask yourself, can I find peace if this never manifests the way I think it should? And then notice how your body reacts. If you find any tight, tense, or heavy feelings arise inside you, are most certainly playing a subtle hidden game of attachment under the surface. The discovery is to breathe deeply into the area you feel the tightness until you've released this tension. Once the tension is gone from your body, take a moment to affirm that your desired outcome, or better, is now heading your way. Through the course of our lives, every human being will at some time experience some form of attachment. Miracles manifest when we let go of attachment. Yet, some of us will tell you otherwise, as they are caught on the idea that being detached is a negative state. And there's a fine line between being aloof, despondent, or resigned and being detached. There's a fine line between being aloof, despondent, or resigned and being detached. The key discovery is that healthy detachment comes from vast reservoirs of trust, faith, and inner peace. Whenever we are detached in a healthy way, being happy with our lives as it is, and can relax enough to completely trust this universe, will support your manifestation if it's meant to be. Detachment is a fine art of trusting in your future destiny to such a deep degree that you don't allow your ego to make any judgments about whatever your experience of life is. A healthy level of detachment is powerful in the world of manifesting because it enables us to be fully open and receptive, which in turn attracts new opportunities and people to you. Every time you find a healthy, balanced level of detachment, your desire will materialize for you much faster and far easier. Now, of course, truly letting go of attachment to a deep desire you've had for years is a very tricky thing to do. Unless it's causing you loads of suffering, which it probably already is. The golden key lies in feeling your suffering and then seeing the correlation between your amount of suffering and the level of attachment you have. When you understand what's happening, you will soon let go. By using this detachment technique for manifesting, it does not automatically guarantee that you will create the outcome you desire. You cannot pretend to be detached while secretly hoping you will manifest a certain outcome underneath the surface. A lot of people do that. They'll pretend to be detached, but actually won't be. Our minds are sneaky and they can pretend anything, anything. The discovery to knowing the truth and how our body reacts, for your body cannot lie to the universe. If you are using the technique of being detached as a strategy for getting what you want, then you're missing the point completely. It's about feeling good inside no matter what manifests or doesn't manifest in your life. The great secret to freeing yourself from attachment is recognizing that you are the infinite spiritual source of consciousness, which is the greatest experience of freedom, love, and bliss. This is a great discovery. To freeing yourself from attachment is actually recognizing that you are the infinite spiritual source of consciousness, which is the greatest experience of freedom, love, and bliss. Do you need anything more? A pizza will come and go in a matter of hours, while the spiritual source is omnipresent forever. The really cool thing is that when you're tapped into your spiritual connection within while gently holding the intention of creating whatever you want to manifest, your desire has to show up. This is one of the greatest manifesting secrets there are. It's a way of gently communicating with this universe what it is going to do for you. By accessing your divine connection, you automatically become utterly at peace with the idea that you might or might not ever manifest your desired outcome. You know, it's like, and you say this deep within your heart mind, if it happens, wonderful, fantastic, stupendous. If it doesn't, wonderful, fantastic, stupendous. And by accessing our divine connection, we automatically become utterly at peace with the idea that we might or might not ever manifest our desired outcome. We transcend it all. Then it really doesn't matter what happens in our futures. This is a very evolved place to live, from as amazing things will manifest when our feelings with the God source beneath our feet and flowing between our breaths. The magic of manifesting is an experience. What is, it's like you move energy. All of us do this. We move, whether consciously or unconsciously. But we're doing it 24/7, eternity. We move energy into form. We create that energy into reality, and then we experience it. Good, bad, or indifferent. We're doing it 24/7. We cannot stop. It is part of us. Isn't that amazing? It's not something you do once in a while. It's something that we're constantly doing. It's part of our natural state of being. So this magic of manifesting is an experience we deserve to have daily. By letting go of our attachments, we are destined to find reoccurring joy, freedom, and love for who and what we already are. And when we discover how good it feels to be detached from past memories and future desires, we are definitely making major progress in this lifetime. When we discover how good it feels to be truly detached from past memories and future desires, we are definitely making major progress in this lifetime. Then we can truly start having some real fun and realize every day that perfect outcomes are always manifesting into our lives. Sometimes it's the greatest gift that we don't always get what our ego wants. This allows this universe to create the most beneficial situation for our soul's evolution and gives us more of an opportunity to receive that super special something that is even better than what we originally asked for. You ever experienced that? you wanted something or you were desiring something, and then you let it go. You just moved on and you didn't think about it anymore, right? And then something out of the clear blue comes up, and you're presented with something that's several times better than the one that you had just left beside. Do an attachment list. You know, this goes into your activity journal, right? Any thought that you have, attitude, something that you may create, a saying that you come up with, put it in writing. Always put it in writing. I know for some people that's old-fashioned. We've got the computer, we've got the pads, we've got all these things. I don't need to use a journal. But see, there's something intimate about that. You can go back and review pages from years ago and review them and go, that's still possible. So it's the journal activity, life writings. You see, we forget a lot of things. So you write it in there. And that's why you have that journal. You take it everywhere you go. Run out of pages, add more. I've had a journal for decades. And it's really interesting for us to look in there. And then we see where we were thinking and creating 20 years ago. It's quite fascinating. So it's, you create a list. You write it down. So it's like everything you think, feel, or perhaps might be attached to in your life. Write it down. Don't leave anything out. When you feel complete with your list, circle the top 3 things that are bringing you the most amount of suffering. Okay? You can have fun with this. Every morning you wake up and imagine seeing yourself smiling and full of joy, even if those 3 things manifested for you or never happened at all. It's for us to choose to find this place inside of us of pure awareness where the spiritual source of existence resides and relaxes into that awareness. And while you see yourself smiling with joy and freedom in your heart, make a strong commitment to yourself that you're going to feel a true state of inner peace, no matter what occurs in your future. This is the path to total liberation. And then, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can practice looking inside yourself with each being you encounter and releasing this wellspring of compassion onto them. It's like smiling and being lighthearted. You give them the joy of connecting with you. And you will be soon swimming in an exquisite ocean of joy everywhere you go. Tell yourself that it's easy to let go of the old and embrace the new. You just follow the lighter, freeing feeling as you go through your day, your week, your month, your year. And as you get into the habit of being compassionate with others, this new, lighter, unattached experience of life will become the foundation of your being. This is the day your life will truly blossom and you'll spring forth into your relationships like the lotus flower rises up to bloom from the deep, warm mud below. Follow your dreams. They know the way. Never, ever give up on your dreams. Ever. Don't ever give up on your dreams. This life that we're all in is here to challenge us. Challenge us to grow in ways we cannot imagine. Our life is meant to be dangerous so that we don't fall asleep at the wheel and take this amazing world for granted, as so many have done. It is the scariest ride and the most exhilarating one we will ever be on. It is in our darkest hours of this life that we simply need to learn how to relax and let go of our agendas and realize that the light is always on at the end of the tunnel. Our real challenge is to learn how to do this every day, trusting that everything is unfolding perfectly as it should for our soul's highest evolution and consciousness. When we accept this divine challenge, we stop resisting this opportunity to grow and take it on as an enlightening adventure. Some of us would like to experience being truly unstoppable in our lives, learn how to increase our consciousness and expand our energy. By tapping into a higher vibration of belief in ourselves, we won't care so much if things go exactly as planned. Instead, we will just continue to do what inspires us and lifts our vibration. There is a way we can turn up our energy so high that nothing can get in our way. It starts with a commitment to ourselves that we will keep sacred for the rest of our lives. This commitment is to be kind to yourself, gentle with you, and never come down hard on yourself no matter what. Follow this one sweet little secret for even a few weeks in a row, and you will start increasing your vibration to attract, create, and manifest everything your heart desires. There's always a way to get through the tough times. There's always a way. There never isn't a way. There's always a way to get through it and even come out the other side with miraculous success. It is good to know that all of these amazing happenings that we hear with people are true. And these are all just, I mean, some of them, I've done this before, but it bears to be repeated, is that we look at others as separate from us, and they're not. And there starts the confusion. I mean, you look at Albert Einstein. He didn't speak. He didn't speak until he was 4 years old. And he didn't read until he was 7 years old. And his parents thought he was subnormal. One of his teachers described him as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in foolish dreams. And he was expelled from school and was refused admittance to the Zurich Polytechnic School. He did eventually learn to speak and read, even do a little math. You see how important it is and how others view you? Doesn't mean squat. How others think of you, view you, doesn't mean squat. I mean, look at these people, and you start to. You see, this is about us being soft, gentle, kind, generous, and humble with ourselves all the time. Winston Churchill failed the 6th grade. He was subsequently defeated in every election for public office until he became prime minister at the age of 62. And he epitomizes the fact that he wrote, never give in, never give in, never, 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 in nothing great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never, 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 never give up. And you look at, and they're a reflection of all of us. A part of us. As a young man, Abraham Lincoln went to war, a captain. He returned a private. Afterwards, he was a failure as a businessman, a lawyer in Springfield. He was too impractical and temperamental to be a success. He turned to politics and was defeated in his first try for the legislature, again defeated in his first attempt to be nominated for Congress, defeated in his application to be commissioner of the General Land Office, defeated in the senatorial election of 1854, defeated in his efforts for the vice presidency in 1856, and defeated in the senatorial election of 1858. And he later became the 16th president of this country. It's all outsiders. It's all the physical material world and what people think of you. But see, there's those of us who don't care what people think of us. We really don't. It's Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. He went bankrupt several times before he built Disneyland. In fact, the proposed park, as it was originally intended to be, the proposed park was rejected by the city of Anaheim on the grounds that it would only attract riffraff. The father of the auto assembly line, Henry Ford, could not read nor write, failed and went broke 5 times in business before he succeeded. Now, there's a lot of people that would experience that and give up. We all know about Thomas Edison, 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. When a reporter asked, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times, Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And his teachers, again, right, external authority, said he was too stupid to learn anything. That he was too stupid to learn anything. Maybe he was too stupid to quit and came up with a light bulb. He was fired from his first 2 jobs for being non-productive. Louis Pasteur was only a mediocre pupil in undergraduate studies and ranked 15th out of 22 students in chemistry. You look at all the things that a lot of the people in this country throughout the ages. R.H. Macy failed 7 times before his store in New York City caught on. You know, Van Gogh sold only one painting during his living life. Imagine that. He sold one painting, and this painting went to his sister of one of his friends. Went to the sister of one of his friends for 400 francs, $50. And this didn't stop him from completing over 800 paintings. Today, a Van Gogh is worth millions. Woolworth, the old Woolworth stores, right? You used to have the diner. You go and sit at the diner. F.W. Woolworth was not allowed to wait on customers when he worked in a dry goods store because his boss said he didn't have enough sense. When Bell Telephone was struggling to get started, its owners offered all their rights to Western Union for $100,000. The offer was disdainfully rejected with the pronouncement, quote, "What use could this company make of an electrical toy? And how many people have telephone today?" They called it electrical toy. Rocket scientist Robert Goddard found his ideas bitterly rejected by his scientific peers on the grounds that rocket propulsion would not work in the rarefied atmosphere of outer space. Most of us have heard of Vince Lombardi. Quote, this is an expert said of Vince Lombardi. This is why I say experts I run from. He possesses minimal football knowledge and lacks motivation. And Lombardi would later write, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. After Carl Lewis won the gold medal for the long jump in the 1996 Olympic Games, he was asked to what he attributed his longevity, having competed for almost 20 years. He said, remembering that you have both wins and losses along the way, I don't take either one too seriously. Babe Ruth, we all know him, is famous for his past home run record, but for decades he also held the record for strikeouts. He hit 714 home runs and struck out 1,330 times in his career, about which he said, every strikeout brings me closer to the next home run. Hank Aaron went 0 for 5 his first time at bat with the Milwaukee Braves. Stan Smith, famous tennis player, was rejected as a ball boy for a Davis Cup tennis match because he was too awkward and clumsy. He went on to clumsily win Wimbledon and the U.S. Open in 8 Davis Cups. I mean, you look at, we don't often reflect and review parts of ourselves, because every one of these people are parts of us. Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, and Jimmy Johnson accounted for 11 of the 19 Super Bowl victories from 74 to 93. They also share the distinction of having the worst records of first-season head coaches in NFL history. They didn't win a single game. Johnny Unitas' first pass in the NFL was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. Joe Montana's first pass was also intercepted. And while we're on quarterbacks, during his first season, Troy Aikman threw twice as many interceptions, 18, as touchdowns, 9. Oh, and he didn't win a single game. You think there's a lesson here? Charles Schultz, the Peanuts creator, right? Had every cartoon he submitted rejected by his high school yearbook staff. Oh, and Walt Disney wouldn't hire him. After Fred Astaire's first screen test, the memo from the testing director of MGM, dated 1933, read, "Can act, can't sing, slightly bald, can dance a little." He kept that memo over his fireplace in his Beverly Hills home. Astaire once observed that when you're experimenting, you have to try so many things before you choose what you want that you may go days getting nothing but exhaustion. And there is the reward for perseverance. The higher up you go, the more mistakes you're allowed. Right at the top, if you make enough of them, it's considered to be your style. After his first audition, some of you probably heard this actor, Sidney Poitier. He was told by the casting director, "Why don't you stop wasting people's time and go out and become a dishwasher or something?" It was that moment, recalls Poitier, he decided to devote his life to acting. When Lucille Ball began studying to be an actress in 1927, she was told by the head instructor of the John Murray Anderson Drama School, "Try any other profession but this one." The first time Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, walked on stage at a comedy club as a professional comic, he looked out at the audience, froze, and forgot the English language. He stumbled through a minute and a half of material and was jeered off stage. He returned the following night and closed his set to wild applause. After Harrison Ford's first performance as a hotel bellhop in the film Dead Heat on a merry-go-round, the studio vice president called him in his office. He said, "Sit down, kid." The studio head said, "I want to tell you a story. The first time Tony Curtis was ever in a movie, he delivered a bag of groceries. We took one look at him and knew he was a movie star." Ford replied, "I thought you were supposed to think that he was a grocery delivery boy." The vice president dismissed Ford with, "You ain't got it, kid. You ain't got it. Now get out of here." Woody Allen, I quote, "I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve it through not dying. 80% of success is showing up." Michael Caine's headmaster told him, "You'll be a laborer all your life." Charlie Chaplin was initially rejected by Hollywood studio chiefs because his pantomime was considered nonsense. Decca Records turned down a recording contract with the Beatles with the evaluation, quote, "We don't like their sound. Groups of guitars are on their way out." After Decca rejected the Beatles, Columbia Records followed suit. In 1954, Jimmy Denny, manager of the Grand Ole Opry, fired Elvis Presley after one performance. He told Presley, "You ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving a truck." Beethoven handled the violin awkwardly and preferred playing his own compositions instead of improving his technique. His teacher called him hopeless as a composer. And of course, you know that he wrote 5 of his greatest symphonies while completely deaf. Leo Tolstoy flunked out of college. He was described as both unable and unwilling to learn, no doubt a slow developer. Louisa May Alcott, author of Little Women, was encouraged to find work as a servant by her family. Emily Dickinson had only 7 poems published in her lifetime. 18 publishers turned down Richard Bach's story about soaring eagle. Macmillan finally published Jonathan Living Seagull in 1970. By 1975, it had sold more than 7 million copies in the U.S. alone. Jack London received 600 rejection slips before he sold his first story. Publishers rejected Richard Hooker's humorous war novel, MASH. He had worked on it for 7 years. Publishers rejected Dr. Seuss's first book, To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. It's like this country. It's like everything we do. It's this planet creating And then when we start to realize that, always remember deep in your hearts that all is well and everything is unfolding as it should. There are no mistakes anywhere at any time. What appears to be wrong is simply our own false imagination. That's all. Robert Adams. It's directing our energy. We're pure energy beings in these bodies. Directing our energy, consciously aware of where it goes and what it does. Directing your energy and being consciously aware of where it goes and what it does. How do you feel about yourself? It's an interesting question, isn't it? How often do we ask that question of ourselves? How do you feel, Jane? How do you feel, Bill? How do you feel, Alice? How do you feel, Bob? And it comes back, if you don't feel that great, why? It doesn't matter if it's physical, emotional. To fully embrace it and go into it. And it's interesting that happiness is within us 24/7. Joy is within us 24/7. But when you keep throwing blankets over everything inside of you, these tarps and blankets covering things constantly, and not fully embracing them, then you move through life with the ball, the iron ball with the chain around both ankles. Now, if you remember, how many of us believe through our heart minds this following quote: everything is perfect in this universe and exactly as it should be. The only imperfections that exist are those created by the mind. Everything is either a misguided projection, a highly creative interpretation, a decorated perception of perfection forming in our brains. All imperfections that we see are imaginary. If and when we can dwell on this concept and hold on to it for even a few minutes, we will notice that we will start to feel lighter, have more inner clarity, and a sense of spiritual freedom throughout our day. See, that's where, if someone's irritated, upset, flustered, and you say to them, right, everything is perfect in this universe exactly as it should be. And the only imperfections that exist are those created by the mind. What do you think they're going to do? Well, they'll probably give you a roundhouse, rolly-eye look. Oh, why would I be thinking about this? I'm dealing with this right now. It's really, I'm really having a tough time. How can I see this as being perfect? So you understand the ego mind, or the mind ego, plays a very crucial role in how we respond to ourselves. So you look at this material physical, where all that's going on, everything around you, right? And you're in the center of this storm. But you're conscious, and you know you're conscious. Every now and then, you might stick a hand or an arm into that storm, right? Wave it around a little bit. Might get hit by something. Might bleed. And then you pull it back in. Realization is nothing new to be acquired. It is already here. But obstructed by a screen of thoughts, all our attempts are directed to lifting this screen, and then realization is revealed. Ramon Mauricio. So all this stuff that happens around us, either allowing it to directly affect us or indirectly, right? What is it all for? It happens for one very specific reason: to awaken us to our spiritual nature. And this entails opening, healing, making us more conscious, alive, and available to the living flow of energy that is perpetually moving through us. And nothing happens to us. Everything happens for us. So it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And so when you look at that perspective and you embrace it through the heart mind, and you say, so all this is happening for me and not to me. There's always a teacher in all of us, right? Whether you know someone well, or very well, or you kind of know them, or just an acquaintance, or not at all. Every one of us are a teacher. Now, it doesn't mean that we're consciously aware of that. But when we interact with each other, we're teaching. And in judgment, you ask yourself, someone's talking with you and you're saying, what are they teaching me? What am I learning? So this universe happens for us, not to us. Everything happens for us. You drive along, you get a flat tire, you don't have spare. What are you going to do? It's happening for you. Might happen where someone comes along, you meet that person, and they become very instrumental in your life. See, knowing that we are all one, the gods within these bodies, that we're not separate, separate's illusion, and we are constantly creating. And we're constantly learning from each other. How is it, right? And we're social creatures, for the most part. How is it that each of us doesn't have a lifelong network? And what's a network? It's interacting with people, and everybody you come across, you interact with, right? And then you form connections, bridges. You start talking, interacting. These are complete strangers. And you start to form a assembly of people that are there, that you interact with on occasion throughout your life. And that is a network. And so when you have this network, you're constantly building this network. You're constantly interacting. I don't care if you're a librarian and you don't like talking with anybody. That's the comfort zone. That's not your natural state of being. So you kind of step out of that a little bit at a time, and you network. You talk with people. You interact with them. You create bonds, interactions. Isn't it interesting that so many of us separate ourselves, which is an illusion, from each other? Don't like being in public, don't like being in groups of people, don't like being, speaking, don't like this, fear of that, fear of that, fear of that, fear of that. But that's how we learn. That's how we interact. We form networks. And these networks could last you your entire lifetime. You talk, you interact. You may not even meet some of the people that you network with, ever. But you form this network. You don't have to be a salesperson, a marketer, or anything. This is about this life. Every life. It's not about hiding in a basement or a garage or a room in the house for your life because it's comfortable. It's about interacting and interfacing and talking and meeting with new people on a continual basis. Then what happens? You have all the help you will ever need in this life. You can read the history of this. I'll briefly mention it that National Steel was a company, and they formed a mastermind group. And this is a circle of people who possess skills and strengths and weaknesses. And in the mastermind group, you draw on the strengths of each being. And they draw on your strength, and you draw on their strengths. And where you're weak, they're strong. And where they're weak, you're strong. That's called a mastermind group. That's part of your network on this planet. So in this quiet time, realize that no matter what is happening in your outer world, in your relationships, in the internet, in your family, at work, etc., realize that everything around you is happening for one very specific reason: to awaken you to your spiritual nature. This means opening you, healing you, making you more conscious, alive, and available to the living flow of energy that is perpetually moving through you. And everything in this universe is happening for you, not to you. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy, slow breath out the mouth. Be still. We are always having an experience. Just be present to the one that's happening now. If you're demanding to have an experience, you're squeezing out this one and actually missing it. The moment you stop trying to make something big happen, it happens for you. Take this with you for the rest of the day and the evening and night. Following morning, we'll return here, August 31st, Wednesday, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call, and 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our time for change call.